Hi, Complex fans, and welcome back to the bench. Band instrument repair, just like any other profession, is constantly evolving in both materials and techniques. One of the major materials in the profession are saxophone pads, and in the last 50 years, they've really undergone quite a few changes. Today on the bench, I've got a modern saxophone pad and one that was manufactured in the early 60s. Let's get to it. Here are the two different pads. This is the more modern pad. This is the pad that was created in the early 60s. Let's start with the modern pad. So saxophone pads are wrapped in leather, very thin leather. There is a moisture barrier, plastic moisture barrier between the leather and the felt. The felt is either woven or pressed. This is woven. It always has a cardboard backing on it, and you see the leather was wrapped around it and then folded and then glued to the cardboard back, and then the entire apparatus was glued into the key cup using stick shellac. Here's the pad from the early 60s, and you see it does not have a resonator, but like the modern pad, it is wrapped in very thin leather. It does also have a moisture barrier. This one is aluminum. It does have felt on the inside, and it is also woven, but you see it's got this extra metal frame around it. And also it has no cardboard backing. And you see how they wrapped it around? There's actually a drawstring. So the leather was fastened securely around the felt, and then the whole thing was fastened to the key cup. This is actually stick shellac, but the color is a form of stick shellac that they were using here in Europe in the 50s and 60s to fasten pads into their key cups. For me, working on these older instruments is kind of like a time machine. I get to go back in time and see how people were thinking about putting mechanics together. What kind of spring mechanisms were they using? What kind of materials were they using to create pads? And how were they putting it together? It's incredibly fascinating. If you find it fascinating too, please follow, comment, ask me any questions you want about your wind instrument, and thank you everybody for watching.